Have you ever met someone who shook your entire world? It felt like more than just attraction, almost like your whole body was alive in their presence. Suddenly, food didn't taste the same, sleep felt impossible, and every thought in your head circled back to them. A single message from them could make your heart race, like you'd just taken a shot of pure energy. And yet, when they stayed silent, when hours passed without a reply, it hurt like a deep ache in your chest. The joy turned into restlessness, the excitement into anxiety. It was as if your happiness had become completely dependent on them. Love, in this way, can be the sweetest high and also the darkest low. It lifts us higher than anything else. But it can also drop us lower than we ever imagined. And sometimes what we call passion isn't love at all. It's something that acts more like a drug. It hooks us, it pulls us, and it leaves us craving more. In this video, we're going to explore why love has the power to hijack the brain in the same way a drug does. We'll uncover why passion feels so irresistible, yet so dangerous, and most importantly, how we can transform this intense, addictive fire into a love that is deeper, steadier, and more real. Because love was never meant to chain us down, it was meant to wake us up. So if you've ever felt consumed by desire, if you've ever been trapped in that cycle of highs and lows, I invite you to stay with me until the end. What you're about to discover may not only change the way you see love, it may change the way you see yourself. Chapter 1. The High of Love. Think about the very first days of falling in love. Maybe you've felt it before, that rush when someone new enters your life and suddenly everything changes. The world feels brighter, colors seem sharper, and even the smallest things bring a smile to your face because your mind keeps drifting back to them. A song on the radio, a smell in the air, even the way the sunlight falls through the window can remind you of them and send a shiver through your whole body. Your heart beats a little faster when you see their name pop up on your phone. One short message, even just a hey, can completely shift your mood. It's like your entire sense of happiness has been hooked onto that one person. This is the magic of passion. It feels powerful, overwhelming, and almost impossible to resist. People often describe it as butterflies in the stomach, but really it's much bigger than that. It's not just a gentle flutter. It's more like a lightning strike. You don't choose it, it chooses you. And once it hits, it can feel like the most intoxicating thing in the world. Scientists have actually studied this feeling, and they've found something fascinating. When you fall deeply in love, your brain reacts in almost the exact same way it does when a person takes a powerful drug. The chemical that plays the biggest role here is called dopamine. Dopamine is the brain's pleasure chemical. It's the one that makes you feel rewarded when something exciting or enjoyable happens. It's what lights up when you taste your favorite food, achieve a big goal, or experience something thrilling. And when you fall in love, dopamine surges. That's why those early days of love feel so addictive. Your brain is flooding itself with reward signals telling you this person is special. Stay close. Don't let go. It creates a high, a buzz, a sense of euphoria. It's why new lovers can talk for hours on the phone without getting bored, why they can stay up all night texting, why they can go without sleep or food and not even notice. The brain is feeding them a chemical cocktail that makes the connection feel irresistible. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Studies using brain scans have shown that the same areas of the brain that light up when someone is high on cocaine or other addictive substances also light up when a person is in the throes of early romantic passion. It's not just a metaphor to say love is a drug. On a neurological level, love literally acts like one. It triggers the reward pathways that make you crave more, need more, and feel restless without it. This explains why love can feel so consuming. It's not just your imagination. Your brain is literally wired to prioritize this person above almost everything else. That's why you might forget about responsibilities, lose track of time, or even neglect yourself when you're caught up in the rush of passion. It's not weakness. It's biology. Your brain is treating this bond as something vital for your survival, like food or water. But while the high is beautiful, it can also be dangerous. Just like with drugs, the rush of dopamine makes us chase the feeling again and again. We want the message, the kiss, the touch, the attention. Because every time we get it, the brain rewards us with another hit of pleasure. And when we don't get it, the absence feels unbearable. That's why people in love can swing between joy and despair so quickly. One moment you're floating on air, the next you're spiraling with anxiety. Think about how many love stories in movies and books focus on this addictive side of passion. The lovers who can't stay away from each other, even when it hurts. The characters who sacrifice everything because they can't resist the pull. We celebrate it as romance, but underneath it all, it's the same wiring that makes us vulnerable to addiction. It's the brain saying, "This person is the source of your happiness. Do whatever it takes to keep them close." And yet, isn't there something breathtaking about it? To feel so deeply, to be moved so completely, is part of what makes us human. The high of love shows us the incredible power of connection. It teaches us how deeply we can care, how much we can long, and how alive our hearts can become. This is why passion is so seductive. It makes us feel like we've touched something divine, like we've stepped into a dream. And while the science explains the chemicals, the experience feels like magic. That's the paradox of love. It is both biology and mystery, chemistry and poetry. And in that mix, we discover both the beauty and the danger of letting passion take control. Chapter 2. The Crash. After the High. Every high has a low that follows, and love is no different. After the rush, after the butterflies, there comes the silence. Think about it. The same person who once made your heart race with a single text can also make you feel crushed when they don't respond. Hours can feel like days. A missed call can feel like rejection. That sweet, addictive feeling you had before can suddenly turn into worry, restlessness, and even pain. It feels like your body and mind are going through withdrawal, as if the source of your happiness has been taken away. This is why love can be so confusing. One moment you're smiling uncontrollably, replaying their words in your head, and the next you're spiraling into overthinking. Did I say something wrong? Are they losing interest? Do they even care? The very thing that lifted you up so high now drags you down with the same force. It's as if your emotions are tied to a roller coaster that you can't get off of, and you're no longer in control of the ride. Psychologists have found that this pattern is deeply connected to something bigger than just romance. It often has roots in our earliest experiences of love. If you grew up in a home where love felt uncertain, maybe a parent was emotionally distant, unpredictable, or inconsistent, your brain and heart may have learned early on that love is something you must chase, something that could disappear at any moment. As adults, this can show up in the way we love. We don't just want closeness, we crave it. We don't just enjoy affection. We fear its loss so strongly that it feels unbearable. This is why the crash after passion feels so sharp. The silence, the distance, the moments when your partner pulls away. They don't just sting in the present. They wake up the echoes of old wounds, the places in us that once felt unseen or unloved. And so, what looks like heartbreak in the moment is often a much older story replaying itself. The nervous system remembers, the heart remembers, and the body reacts with the same urgency it did when love once felt uncertain in childhood. Think about it this way. The person you're passionate about may become like a mirror, reflecting not only your joy, but also your deepest fears. Their presence makes you feel whole, but their absence makes you feel broken. It isn't just about them. It's about the hole inside of you that longs to be filled. It's about the old hunger for safety, closeness, and belonging. And when passion crashes, it's that hunger that rises up, louder than ever. This is why people often describe the pain of heartbreak in physical terms. They say, "It feels like my chest is being crushed," or "I feel sick to my stomach." Brain scans show that the same areas activated by physical pain are also activated during romantic rejection. The body truly feels it as suffering. You're not imagining it, and you're not weak for feeling it so deeply. Your brain and body are treating loss of love as if it were a threat to your survival. The crash also explains why some people go back again and again to relationships that hurt them. Just like a person addicted to a drug keeps chasing the high, even when it's destroying them. Love addiction makes us chase the feeling of connection, even when it brings us pain. We convince ourselves, maybe next time will be better. Maybe if I just hold on a little longer, the high will return. It's not stupidity. It's survival wiring, mixed with old wounds. But here's something important to remember. While passion's crash feels like the end of the world, it can also be an invitation. It shows us where we are carrying unhealed parts of ourselves. It reveals the places where love has become a bandage over deeper pain. If we can learn to see the crash not as punishment, but as a signal, we can start to heal the parts of us that keep searching for wholeness in someone else. The crash after the high is painful, yes. It makes us restless, desperate, and afraid, but it also shows us how powerful love really is. It is not just about romance. It's about the way our hearts are wired, the way our past shapes our present, and the way we long for connection as human beings. And if we can begin to face the crash with awareness instead of fear, we can start to turn this painful cycle into a doorway for growth. Chapter 3. The Wisdom of the Stoics. Long before modern science studied the brain, ancient thinkers were already asking big questions about love, passion, and human suffering. Among them were the Stoics, philosophers from Greece and Rome who lived over 2,000 years ago. They looked closely at life, at the way people got lost in desire, anger, or fear, and they tried to understand, why do we suffer so much, and how can we be free? The Stoics believed something simple yet powerful. It is not the world itself that hurts us, but the way we cling to it. In other words, it's not love itself that causes pain, but the way we attach to it, the way we grasp too tightly at things we cannot fully control. Think about love through this lens. When we fall in love, we naturally want to hold on. We want guarantees, promises, and certainty. We want to believe the person will always stay, always love us back, always choose us. But life does not work with guarantees. People change, feelings shift, circumstances move, and the future remains unknown. The Stoics warn that if we try to chain love down, if we treat it as something we must own or possess, we end up suffering, not because love is wrong, but because our attachment is too heavy. Epictetus, one of the most famous Stoic teachers, gave us a line worth remembering. Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control. What does this mean for love? It means we cannot control whether someone loves us back, or how long love will last, or what the future will bring. But we can control how we meet love, how we carry it, and how we let it shape us. If we treat love as something to breathe in and out, like air, it becomes light, nourishing, and life-giving. But if we treat it as a drug we must have at all costs, we start to suffocate under the weight of our own craving. Imagine holding a bird in your hand. If you hold it gently, it can rest there freely and maybe even sing for you. But if you grip it too tightly out of fear of losing it, you crush the very thing you love. Passion is like that bird. The Stoics taught us that love should be allowed to exist in freedom, not trapped by control. This does not mean Stoics rejected love or passion. They were not cold or emotionless, as people sometimes think. In fact, they saw emotions as natural and human. What they warned against was becoming enslaved by them. To the Stoics, the goal was not to kill desire, but to master it, to guide it wisely, so that passion warmed the heart without burning the soul. Seneca, another Stoic, compared emotions to wild horses. Left untamed, they drag the rider into danger. But when trained, they can carry us powerfully forward. Love is no different. When passion runs wild, we are pulled in every direction, up in ecstasy one moment, down in despair the next. But when we bring awareness to it, when we ride the horse instead of being dragged by it, love becomes steadier, calmer, and more enduring. This wisdom still speaks to us today. How many times have we tried to hold someone so tightly that we ended up pushing them away? How many times have we clung to love so desperately that the joy of it turned into fear and pain? The Stoics remind us that love cannot be chained, only cherished. True strength is not found in trying to control love, but in allowing it to be what it is: unpredictable, mysterious, and sometimes fleeting. Think of breathing again. You cannot hold your breath forever. The harder you try, the more desperate you feel, and eventually, you must let go. Love is the same. It must flow in and out, giving and receiving, holding and releasing. When we understand this, love stops being a prison and becomes a gift. The Stoics give us a different way to love, not with grasping hands, but with open ones. To love fully while also knowing we cannot own another soul. To enjoy the passion without demanding it never change. To honor the fire, but not throw ourselves into it. This balance, this gentle mastery, is what keeps love alive without destroying us. So when passion feels like a drug, when the craving takes over and you feel chained by your desire, remember the Stoic wisdom. Freedom comes from letting go of what you cannot control. And love, like life itself, was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be experienced, cherished, and released over and over again, like the breath that keeps us alive. Chapter 4. The Shadow Side of Passion. When we talk about the shadow side of passion, we are really talking about the places where love stops feeling like a gift and starts feeling like a trap. Astrology gives us a mirror for this, especially in the story of Venus and Pluto. Venus is the planet of beauty, attraction, romance, and sweetness. It represents the part of us that wants harmony and connection. Pluto, on the other hand, represents transformation, depth, power, and sometimes obsession. When these two archetypes meet, we see how love can become more than just soft and gentle. It can become consuming, magnetic, and even overwhelming. It is like fire. It can keep us warm, or it can burn us if we're not careful. Some people live their relationships in this fiery space without even realizing it, pulled between the desire to love and the fear of losing that love. Take, for example, someone with a Scorpio moon. Astrology describes this placement as a soul that feels emotions like oceans, deep, hidden, and sometimes stormy. For these people, love doesn't feel casual. It feels like life and death. Every kiss feels like eternity. Every goodbye feels like a wound. This doesn't mean they are cursed or broken. It simply means their hearts are tuned to a deeper frequency. They cannot swim in the shallow end of the pool. They are pulled toward the deep waters, where intimacy feels like fusion and where every emotion is amplified. This can be a gift, because it allows them to experience love with a passion and depth that others might never taste. But it can also be a danger, because that intensity awakens shadows, jealousy, fear of betrayal, fear of abandonment, and the hunger to merge so completely with someone else that they forget themselves. And isn't this something many of us experience, even if we don't have a Scorpio moon? When we fall deeply in love, our minds and bodies react as if it is a matter of survival. Neuroscience even shows us that the same brain circuits that light up when people take addictive drugs also light up when we are in love. That is why obsession, longing, and fear can become so strong. We cling, we chase, we fear rejection. We may even lose sleep, lose appetite, or feel anxiety at the thought of being without the other person. Passion can be intoxicating, but it can also be destabilizing. In this way, love is not just about two people holding hands. It is about the hidden parts of ourselves that rise to the surface when passion is strong. Love shines a light into our own unconscious, pulling out fears we didn't know we carried. A jealous outburst might reveal an old wound from childhood, a fear of being left behind. A controlling desire might show us how much we fear losing control over our own lives. The desire to merge completely with another might uncover the ways we feel incomplete within ourselves. Love, then, becomes a mirror. It does not only show us the beauty of connection, it also reveals the shadows we must face inside ourselves. And here lies the paradox. The shadow side of passion is not here to destroy us. It is here to teach us. Just as Pluto in mythology drags souls into the underworld, only for them to rise again transformed, our most intense loves can drag us into the darkest corners of our hearts, only to bring us out stronger, clearer, and wiser. The shadows of jealousy, fear, and obsession are invitations. They ask us to look at the places where we have given away our power, the places where we confuse love with possession, the places where our longing for another is really a longing to know ourselves more deeply. So, when we feel this intensity, when passion feels like fire that could burn us alive, it helps to remember. It is not punishment, it is a teacher. Passion pulls our shadows to the surface so we can see them clearly. It gives us a chance to face them, to work with them, and to grow beyond them. Love is not just about finding another person. It is also about finding the missing pieces of our own soul, hidden in the places we are most afraid to look. Chapter 5. Transforming Addiction into Growth. So how do we move from addiction to true love? The answer is not to run away from passion, and it's not to kill desire. Passion itself is not the enemy. The problem is when we mistake the rush of chemicals in our brain, or the pull of old wounds, for the meaning of love. To heal, we must first understand what is happening inside us. The high we feel at the start of a romance is real. Dopamine, oxytocin, and adrenaline dance through our nervous system, making us feel like the other person is the center of the universe. But when we confuse this rush with love itself, we set ourselves up for heartbreak, because no one can live at that level of intensity forever. Passion has to evolve into something steadier if love is to last. Think of it like fire. At first, the flames rise high, hot and bright, almost uncontrollable. They light up the whole night sky. But if we only focus on those first flames, we might panic when they begin to settle. We might think the fire is dying. Yet what's really happening is transformation. The fire is shifting into glowing embers, into warmth that can sustain us. That's the difference between love addiction and true love. Addiction keeps chasing the high, always searching for the next flame. True love learns to value the steady glow, the warmth that lasts through the night. To move toward growth, we have to stop confusing intensity with intimacy. Intensity is that rush that makes us feel like we're losing ourselves in someone else. Intimacy is quieter, but deeper. It's not about fireworks. It's about being seen and accepted as we are. Intensity screams, "I can't live without you." Intimacy whispers, "I choose to share this life with you." When we recognize this difference, we begin to love from a place of freedom instead of fear. We no longer cling to someone as if they are the air we breathe. Instead, we breathe fully on our own and invite them to walk beside us. This shift is not easy because it asks us to face our wounds. Many times, the craving we feel for another person is actually the echo of something missing in our childhood. A parent's love we never received fully, a sense of safety that was absent, or an old rejection that left scars. The relationship then becomes a stage where those old wounds replay. We look for someone to fill what was once empty. But growth begins when we see the difference between old pain and present love. When we say to ourselves, "I cannot ask my partner to heal the wounds my past created. That is my work." This is the beginning of maturity. True love asks us to step out of survival mode. It teaches us not to beg for love, but to grow strong enough to offer it freely. Instead of saying, "I need you to complete me," we begin to say, "I am whole, and I want to share that wholeness with you." And something amazing happens here. The desperate craving falls away, and in its place grows a love that is steady, kind, and life-giving. We no longer lose ourselves in another person. Instead, We find ourselves more deeply because love reflects back to us the strength, patience, and compassion that were inside us all along. This is the transformation. From addiction to growth, from craving to connection, from fear to freedom. Love becomes a conscious choice, not a desperate need. And when love is chosen freely, it carries a beauty that is stronger than any drug, because it is rooted not in escape, but in truth. Chapter 6. A New Way to Love. Maybe the greatest gift hidden inside love addiction is that it forces us to see ourselves more clearly. At first, it feels like punishment, like a weakness we cannot escape. We wonder why we keep falling for people who take us on emotional roller coasters, why we get stuck in cycles of longing, jealousy, or fear. But if we look deeper, we find that this struggle carries a secret message. It teaches us about our own fragility, the parts of us that still feel small, scared, or incomplete. At the same time, it also shows us our strength, because even in the middle of heartbreak, even when we feel like we are breaking apart, there is still a part of us that survives, that keeps going, that refuses to give up on love itself. This dual truth, our weakness and our strength living side by side, is what makes us human. Love addiction also reveals where we are still chained. Some of these chains come from old wounds we never healed. Some come from stories we told ourselves long ago. Stories like, "I'm not lovable unless I'm needed," or "I'm only worthy if someone else chooses me." These invisible chains keep us stuck, pulling us back to the same patterns again and again. But when we notice them, when we finally see the chains for what they are, something shifts inside us. We realize we are not powerless. We realize we have the ability to break free, to choose differently, to create a love that is not built on fear but on freedom. True passion is not about losing ourselves in someone else's fire. It is not about giving up our whole identity just to feel wanted. When we do that, we burn out. We exhaust our spirit. We confuse self-sacrifice with love, and in the process, we forget who we are. Real passion is something steadier. It is like a flame that doesn't roar wildly and consume everything around it, but one that burns bright, steady, and strong. A flame that gives warmth, comfort, and light, not just to others, but also to ourselves. This kind of flame doesn't disappear when the wind blows. It knows how to bend, how to protect itself, how to keep burning. That is the flame we are meant to become. When we reach this place, love no longer feels like a drug. It no longer feels like something we chase just to escape the emptiness inside. Instead, love becomes a conscious choice, a decision we make with open eyes and an open heart. We no longer ask, "Who can fill my emptiness?" Instead, we ask, "Who can I walk beside as I continue to grow?" Love becomes less about possession and more about partnership. It becomes a space where two souls can meet without losing themselves, where both people remain whole and free, yet deeply connected. And perhaps this is the highest form of love, not the fire that consumes, not the chain that binds, but the flame that warms. It is a love that grows us, heals us, and mirrors back the best parts of who we are. It is love as choice, love as strength, love as freedom. This is the kind of love that addiction can lead us toward if we are willing to learn its lesson, that real connection does not come from clinging, but from standing strong in our own soul and opening our arms to share that strength with another. In conclusion, if you have ever felt like love was your addiction, please know this: you are not broken and you are not weak. You are simply human. To long for love is part of the human story. Every one of us, in one way or another, has felt that hunger to be seen, to be chosen, to be held so closely that the world disappears. Your longing is not a curse. It is a signal. It is a call from the deepest part of your soul, pointing you towards something greater. It is asking you to discover what already lives inside you, your wholeness, your worth, your light, so that when love comes to you, it does not arrive as a drug you depend on, but as a gift you can welcome with open hands. Imagine this for a moment. Imagine standing in front of someone you care about deeply, not with fear, not with desperation, not with the thought, "Please don't leave me. I can't live without you." Instead, you stand with calm strength, and in your heart you say, "I am whole as I am, and I choose to share this wholeness with you." That is what freedom in love feels like. It is not about shrinking yourself to fit another person's needs. It is not about clinging so tightly that both of you lose your breath. It is about two complete souls meeting, seeing each other clearly, and choosing, day after day, to walk together. That choice, not fear, not addiction, not desperation, is what gives love its beauty. When we arrive at this place, passion doesn't die. It transforms. It no longer burns us alive. It warms us. It no longer controls us. It guides us. Love becomes less like a storm that sweeps us away and more like a river that carries us forward. Strong, steady, flowing. There will still be moments of intensity, of fire, of overwhelming desire. But these moments no longer chain us. They no longer define us. We can feel them, enjoy them, and let them pass, knowing that real love is deeper than any single rush. And that might be the greatest freedom of all, to love passionately but without chains, to love deeply but without fear, to hold someone close but without losing ourselves. This is the kind of love that doesn't fade when the initial excitement is gone. This is the kind of love that grows stronger with time, because it is built not on addiction, but on choice. It is a love that can survive storms, silence, distance, and change, because it comes from a place of inner strength. So, if you've ever cried over love, if you've ever felt powerless in its grip, take heart. Your story is not one of weakness. It is one of awakening. Every heartbreak, every obsession, every longing is part of the path that is leading you back to yourself. You are not here to lose yourself in love. You are here to find yourself more deeply through love. And once you see that, love will no longer be your addiction. It will be your liberation, and this journey doesn't have to be walked alone. We are building a space here, a movement of souls who are ready to grow, to heal, and to love with freedom, instead of fear. If this message spoke to your heart, let this be the beginning of your own transformation. Subscribe, like, and share this video, not just as a click, but as a promise to yourself that you are ready to choose love that liberates, not love that chains. Together we can create a community where passion is no longer a drug, but a light that guides us toward wholeness. Because at the end of the day, love is not meant to break us. It is meant to remake us. And you, right now, have the power to step into that new way of loving.